So at this point, I think we can all agree that traders aren't addicted to losing money. They're addicted to novelty. They're addicted to finding something new, essentially something that they think is going to change their own profitability, whether that's a new mentor, a new course, a new Discord, a new strategy, a new indicator. And they keep hopping on that cycle, that loop that just resets. And the question you really have to ask yourself is, how long have you been doing that for, number one? And number two, if you've been doing that, how have the results actually been? How has starting over, finding something new actually done? How consistent has it made you be? How has your P&L shifted? How does your consistency and discipline actually look? How have things actually changed for you in that time period you've been doing that for? And I was the same way. And the hardest thing about this shit is that it is a loop that can continue for a really, really long time, like an extreme amount of time. And so if you don't catch this, it's an extremely expensive lesson, if not one of the most, because you're just wasting your time. You're not even wasting your money, which you are, but more expensive, your time. For myself, I believe I did this for, dude, it was probably a good like year and a half, almost 2 years, because realistically for myself, the first 3 months of trading, pretty much learned everything realistically that I needed to. And I think you can learn trading in a very short amount of time. It's really not that like complex. It's really simple, actually. You learn the markets, you understand from whichever concepts you're learning from how they really move. You kind of know your zones, you kind of know what you're looking for. Realistically, the longest part of what you're doing after that is kind of just market experience. I always like to say that kind of intuition, that feeling for the market. But realistically, learning the market, dude, I've had students learn the market in like 8 weeks, like literally have an understanding for top-down analysis and looking for the zones, looking for the entry criteria, executing, and then hit like 1-7s in from literally knowing not even what a pair is to hitting a 1-7 in like less than 8 weeks. Not even knowing what the markets are. And so that's why once you get past that, like I did for myself after like the first 3 months of being in the market, I then went on this downfall of being consumed by trading. And this is what I'm talking about, being consumed in the way of like, dude, I'm still losing money, so what is it now? Why am I all of a sudden like not profitable? And so I started to try to figure out what it was, and I ended up looking externally, like, okay, maybe it's quarter theory. I talk about this a lot, where I just went in this like analysis paralysis. Okay, maybe I need to switch up my understanding for the markets. Maybe I need to understand imbalances better. Maybe I need to understand my zones better. Maybe I need to switch things up entirely. And what does this like do? And I'm sure you can relate to this. You're just consistently on YouTube, analysis paralysis, watching YouTube video after YouTube video after YouTube video. And because you're learning, watching videos, you think you're being productive. And you're just continuously doing this, thinking that this YouTube video that you're gonna watch is all of a sudden gonna change the way you've been doing things. That you're gonna hear something in this video like, have an aha moment, essentially. And then you maybe in your mind, right, hear something that you think changes it for you all, or think you have that aha moment. You do that, and then boom, right back in the same cycle. And again, this happened for me for like a cool year and a half, 2 years, because that's realistically how long it took for me to get like actual consistency with my trading, where I was like, okay, month on end for at least like 3 to 6 months was I able to actually flip a profit, like get funded, get a payout, have that same account get another payout, 2 weeks later another payout, 2 weeks later another payout, 2 weeks later another payout. This is all on my YouTube channel, by the way. You guys can scroll like, at this point, 3 years ago, just scroll back, you guys will see the withdrawal requests and stuff. But until that point, dude, you're stuck in this endless cycle of chasing that like productivity, that novelty, that thing that you think is going to make you profitable. And it's so funny, the example I'm going to give you, if you guys scroll Instagram reels that we've all fallen victim to, I'm sure once in a while you come across this reel, and it's like a section from the movie Panda, Kung Fu Panda, where he opens the, I think it's the secret dragon warrior formula, or like that script, right? And there's nothing in there. There's nothing in the secret formula. It's literally like a gold mirror, like gold reflection, and he's just seeing himself. And you realize that that's kind of been the key the whole time. Like there's no actual secret to this shit. The secret has really just been you the whole time. That's why I emphasize trading psychology so much, because a lot of the times you know more than enough about the markets. It's very rare where you're operating on like an actual unprofitable system. If you have like 20 fucking indicators on your screen, you're doing like insane amounts of certain analysis, not even technicals, I'd say fundamentals, like very rare you actually don't know what the fuck you're doing, but definitely is the case sometimes. But if you have like a simple step-by-step process, if you trade the way I do, which is like simple supply and demand, I'm telling you right now, you're the problem. You are the problem, and that is what you need to solve. And so you need to stop becoming addicted to trying to find this new thing, because learning is comfortable. Applying is uncomfortable. Doing is uncomfortable, especially after things get boring, because you can learn something and then apply it for a week, maybe even apply it for a month, but a lot of you guys can't even be consistent on your rules for a month. Like imagine showing up to the charts every day with you knowing what you need to do, and you can't do it for even every single day out of 1 month, and you know that's what will make you profitable. Like try to stick to your rules for 1 month, for 20 trading days, bro, if you're gonna trade every day of the week for 1 month. And again, it's because that actual process, when things get boring, when you've gotten over that aha moment, that learning, that thinking that you're doing something, that feeling of being productive, once that like dopamine cycle ends and it's time to just apply the boring, that's when you fall off. And then that's when you now think again, this is not working, and you need to go back into that dopamine cycle. And this has to do with everything, and this is why I'm so fucking big on the gym, on the exterior discipline, the interior discipline, you know, having that discipline bleed into every asset of your life, and really building that consistency and discipline factor so that it can transform your trading by being able to consistently follow your trading plan, by being able to perform when you don't actually feel like performing, when you feel like feeding into the revenge trading, when you feel like feeding into the over trading, when you feel like showing up and gambling and just wanting to trade for the sake of wanting to be involved, but still operating as the same person, still showing up and operating how you know you need to be operating as, and not how you have been. And again, this just comes down to understanding this cycle, okay? And until you can like extrapolate yourself from this loop to stop the never-ending loop, that's when you'll actually start to realize how things work, bro. And the faster you can do that, the better. Because as I said, for myself, this took me years, realistically, like 1 to 2 years before I realized, oh shit, I'm the problem. Let me stop trying to learn new information, analysis paralysis, go down that deep dark hole of fucking learning more and more about the markets that, like, even now I trade more simple, if not like the basics that I learned when I first started, and I'm the most profitable I've ever been compared to when I knew 10 times more. Like, yeah, it's insane. But the faster that you can have this understanding and really get to that point where the boring stuff is what you're able to just execute on, that's when you'll actually start to see your P&L like curve actual to the upside. Because you don't just go from all of a sudden being completely unprofitable to profitable. For myself, at least that's how it happened for me. I went from losing a lot to losing a little less and having winners in there, but still having my losses like eat up my profits. Then you start losing less than that, then you kind of enter this, like, still losing, but approaching like a break-even point where you are taking, let's say, 5 L's and then 1 dub, and like maybe on a 3R. So you're still net negative, but you're approaching that break-even. And then you slowly from there start to approach that break-even, where now truly you're like, oh, almost in a little bit of profit, but then you're right back down to break-even. And then you're kind of in this phase for a little bit of time, because now you start to see the actual psychological benefits of becoming profitable, which do then in turn mess with your psychology a little bit. And then once you kind of get out of that and just start truly executing on the system and getting used to seeing numbers and the profitability and thinking about, you know, how much money you can make and essentially all this stuff, right, which is a thing, you become a little bit actual profitable. Then you might see a percent gain, might not be that much, but it's a little bit. You're actually profitable now, but most people don't like to admit, hey bro, you're making 2% month on end. You're approaching, like, you're technically profitable, but you're approaching that like stage where you're actually like blast off to major profits, you know, because then realistically from there, what happens? If you can control yourself and continue down that path, then you can start to see 4, 5, 6% gains every month on month end, except for the exception if you have like a break-even month or a losing month, right? And then even more from there on. Like, I remember actually early on, and I'll make a separate video on this. I remember people used to tell me like 10% profit month is a lot to aim for. And I used to be like, what the fuck are these people talking about? 10% a month is 2.5% a week. And the more you get into things, do you realize there is some truth to this? Like 10% every single month essentially is very good by all means. Don't get me wrong, like very good. But I personally think you can do so much more. Like with just risking 1%. Like if you're risking 0.5%, then yes, 10% is extremely great. You know, even 7%, because then it's like double. Then we're looking at 20%, 15%, 14%. But on 1% risk for myself, 10% a month is very doable. Like that's like an average month, if not below average. Like I usually tend to aim for anywhere from 10 to 20, 25%, because of at just the point where I'm at in my journey. And with the 1 to 3s, 1 to 4, 1 to 5s, they really do eat up like my losses. And with my losses, over the years, you slowly start to trade less, you know, take less setups. When a lot of the times you're putting less risk on the table and taking less setups, you're eliminating losses. And so then, you know, you take like a 1 to 5 hit, take like 1R loss, maybe another 1R loss, you're still up 5% for the month. Then you take another trade that hits, all of a sudden within the span of a week, you could be up like 8%. But I'll get into this in another video. But what I really want to finish off on the topic of this is just understanding that this goes for everything, bro. Like literally everything. You have to get yourself out of that cycle where you're just constantly chasing that dopamine, that novelty, that woman in the red dress. And then once things get boring, once you realize, oh, this actually didn't change anything for me, starting that cycle over and over and over again, and just becoming comfortable in the uncomfortable. Understanding that cheap dopamine is not going to make you profitable, and that once things get boring, that's actually where you're going to find greatness. In the weakness is where you find greatness. In the work you've been avoiding, that's where you find everything that you've been looking for. And that's, again, why I am so big on the discipline, on emphasizing the boring stuff, on executing on your system for longer than a week, 2 weeks, without taking a loss and questioning if your system works, and just letting it play out over the course of time. So boys, with that being said, hopefully you guys were able to take something valuable from this video. As always, I love each and every single one of you, and I will see you gentlemen in the next video. Let's get it, baby.